The works of John Katzenbach are steeped in a quiet yet palpable tension, where every page carries the weight of psychological complexity and moral ambiguity. His stories often unfold in the shadows of the human mind, exploring the fragile boundary between sanity and madness, the pursuit of justice, and the deep, sometimes unsettling realities of human nature. There is a constant sense of unease in his novels, as characters navigate through intricate webs of fear, guilt, and self-doubt. Yet within this tension, there is also a subtle undercurrent of introspection and self-discovery. Katzenbach's works are not just thrillers or psychological mysteries. They are meditations on the human condition. His characters are often placed in situations that force them to confront their deepest fears, question their perceptions of reality, and grapple with moral dilemmas that have no easy answers. The atmosphere of his novels is thick with introspection, and the pace is deliberate, drawing readers into a quiet but intense exploration of the mind's darkest corners. This mood, part unsettling, part contemplative, invites a deeper look at the philosophical themes that underlie Katzenbach's stories. The exploration of what it means to be human, the search for truth, the nature of fear, and the choices that define us are not only central to his narratives, but also resonate with timeless questions in philosophy. In this journey, we will examine how the themes in Katzenbach's works align with these philosophical inquiries, shedding light on the profound connection between literature and the philosophical exploration of the self and the world. At the heart of Katzenbach's stories lies an intricate examination of the human mind. His characters often wrestle with fear, guilt, identity, and mental anguish, exploring the depths of what it means to be human. These psychological conflicts bring to mind the philosophical idea of dualism, the belief that mind and body are distinct and separate entities. This theory, famously put forth by René Descartes, suggests that while our bodies are material and finite, our minds are non-material and infinite. Descartes' exploration of dualism was rooted in the idea that the mind, with its capacity for reason, is separate from the body, which is subject to the physical laws of nature. In Katzenbach's works, we often see characters struggling with the interplay between their minds and their bodies, caught between the rational and the irrational. These inner conflicts reflect a key question in philosophy. How does the mind influence the body, and how does the body, in turn, shape the mind? Alongside dualism, the philosophical notion of the self, as articulated by Socrates, becomes relevant. Socrates famously said, "Know thyself," urging individuals to seek understanding of their own nature. This is a pursuit that many of Katzenbach's characters undergo, often through moments of personal crisis or revelation. Their struggles to understand their own identity, who they are, and why they act the way they do, reflect a deep philosophical concern with self-awareness. Another prominent theme in Katzenbach's works is the tension between right and wrong, justice and revenge. His characters often find themselves making difficult moral decisions, facing dilemmas that challenge their understanding of what is truly just. These dilemmas align with two major schools of philosophical thought: utilitarianism and deontological ethics. Utilitarianism, as proposed by John Stuart Mill, is a philosophy that seeks the greatest good for the greatest number. In this framework, actions are judged based on their consequences. A character in Katzenbach's novel may, for instance, justify immoral actions if they believe it will lead to a greater overall good, echoing the utilitarian perspective. On the other hand, Immanuel Kant's deontological ethics offers a stark contrast. Kant believed that morality is not determined by the consequences of actions, but by the intent behind them. According to Kant, there are universal moral laws, such as the imperative to treat others with respect, that must be followed regardless of the outcome. In Katzenbach's works, characters often wrestle with these competing ethical views, making choices that question whether the ends justify the means or whether duty and moral integrity must prevail. The philosophical discussions around justice and retribution are also prominent. Kant's notion of retributive justice focuses on the idea that justice must be meted out as a form of moral balance, an eye for an eye. However, philosophers like John Rawls have suggested a more restorative approach, where justice seeks to repair relationships and heal social wounds rather than simply punish wrongdoers. The search for justice in Katzenbach's narratives often reflects these complex philosophical debates about how justice should be understood and enacted. Fear, in its many forms, is a constant presence in Katzenbach's writing. His characters are often confronted with their deepest anxieties, whether it be the fear of death, the fear of losing control, or the fear of facing the darker sides of their own nature. This deep-seated fear mirrors existentialist philosophy, particularly the work of Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus. Sartre argued that freedom, while liberating, is also terrifying because it forces individuals to confront the responsibility of making choices that define their lives. In Sartre's view, the anxiety of freedom is central to the human experience. Similarly, Camus explored the absurdity of life, the idea that humans are always searching for meaning in a world that seems indifferent and chaotic. In the works of Katzenbach, characters are often thrust into situations where they must face their own limitations, fears, and the uncertainty of the world around them. This is particularly evident in stories where individuals must choose between confronting a terrifying truth or continuing to live in ignorance. The tension between these two options, freedom through truth versus the safety of denial, echoes the existential crisis at the core of existentialism. Additionally, the theme of alienation plays a significant role in both Katzenbach's writing and existentialist thought. Karl Marx and Friedrich Nietzsche explored the notion of alienation, describing how individuals, particularly in modern society, feel disconnected from their true selves and others. In Nietzsche's philosophy, this sense of alienation is often linked to the idea of the Übermensch, or the overman, a person who transcends societal norms to create their own values. In Katzenbach's novels, characters often experience alienation, whether from society or from their own minds, as they try to navigate complex moral choices or unravel the truth about their existence. A central aspect of Katzenbach's narratives is the quest for truth. Many of his characters find themselves chasing after a truth that often seems just out of reach, struggling to discern reality from illusion. This mirrors a core philosophical inquiry: epistemology, the study of knowledge and belief. Plato argued that knowledge is a process of remembering the eternal truths that exist beyond our physical world, while Aristotle took a more empirical approach, suggesting that knowledge is derived from experience and observation. In Katzenbach's stories, the pursuit of truth often becomes a battle between different perceptions of reality. His characters are frequently forced to confront the nature of knowledge itself, whether truth is absolute or relative, whether it can be known at all or whether it is a matter of perspective. This reflects a key question in epistemology. How do we come to know what we know, and how can we be certain of anything? This theme also touches on the Socratic method of questioning, developed by Socrates, in which individuals engage in deep dialogue to uncover underlying truths. Much like the Socratic method, Many of Katzenbach's protagonists must engage in their own form of questioning, whether it is asking others or, more often, questioning themselves in their search for clarity. The works of John Katzenbach, while not overtly philosophical, offer a rich tapestry for philosophical exploration. His stories, filled with psychological complexity and moral uncertainty, mirror some of the most profound questions in philosophy. From the nature of the self to the question of morality, the experience of fear and alienation, and the quest for truth, Katzenbach's works invite readers to reflect on the human condition in much the same way that philosophers have done for centuries. At the heart of these narratives is the tension between freedom and responsibility, between knowledge and ignorance, between justice and retribution. These themes, explored in the works of Katzenbach, resonate with ideas found in the greatest philosophical traditions. And in doing so, they remind us of the constant journey we all face, the journey to understand ourselves, our choices, and the world in which we live. Our journey has taken us through the deep, philosophical themes that align with the complex characters and stories of John Katzenbach. It has sought to illuminate how these themes of the human mind, morality, fear, and truth interweave, offering not only insight into the nature of literature, but into the nature of our own existence. And as we end this reflection, it is a reminder that the journey of understanding, whether through stories or philosophy, is never truly finished. It continues to unfold with each new thought, each new question, and each new discovery.